Hey, yo, it's me, Pops Fan Marmalade, and you're watching the Comics-Related Madness Network. Uh-huh. So come get some. CromCon. CromCon.
If you're a fan of comic books and comic book conventions, Daytona Beach Comic Con needs to be on your list of must-attend events. It's a show that actually focuses on comic books. Imagine that! This year's event is happening on Saturday, September the 6th, and Sunday, September the 7th. Silverline creators will be there, so we'll see you at the show. There's a new convention in town, and it's sure to be mega fun without the mega expense. Comics, toys, collectibles, pop culture. ShadowCon, Saturday, February 1st, 2025 in Orlando, Florida. Silverline creators will be there, so we'll see you at the show. If you find yourself in the Orlando area, and let's be honest, doesn't everyone come to Orlando for the House of Mouse? Head over to Coliseum of Comics to get your comic book fix. Be sure to check out their location on East Colonial Drive, where they carry a wide selection of independent comics, including Silverline books. Stop by and don't forget to tell them Silverline sent you. Hey, if you're an independent comic creator looking to get your comic printed, look no further than Kablam Digital Printing. They print our comics and do a fantastic job. They can even print special edition covers. When you reach out to them, be sure to tell them Silverline sent you.
Hi, this is Tim TK, host of That Silverline Show on Tuesday. Join us at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific every Tuesday night as we discuss pop culture and the joys of making comics.
Hi, I'm Barb Kilber, co-host of Silverline's Wednesday Wham. Join us each Wednesday nights as we discuss comics, literature, movies, and anything else that may catch our attention.
I'm Roland Mann, and I host Silverline's Silver Sunday. Join me every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern as we make mine Silverline. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Silverline Silver Sunday. This Sunday, January the 12th, 2025. I can't believe January is almost half over already.
Stop that. Quit talking like that.
I know it.
You're a bad man.
I am your host. I am Roland Mann, and I'm here, of course, with the usuals, Mr. Thomas Lamonti. What a year it's been.
How's it going?
Dude, I really, really like your wall. Where are you?
It's a fake wall.
Oh, dude. Okay, I'm trying to look at the comics. I'm like, I didn't know Tommy had those kind of things on his wall.
That looks like a good. That's one of the best fake walls I've seen on.
I'm telling you, yeah.
Because I don't see the sketchy green screen stuff going around.
Yeah, look, you can see it now.
Well, yeah.
If you move fast, but
quit moving. You're not the Flash.
I actually thought that was a real wall, man.
I did too. Man,
no, it's a real wall.
Is that hat fake too?
Is the what?
Is the hat fake?
It's covering his fake head. And we're also joined by the age master himself, Mr. Tom Mason.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to the
What's up,
Silverline Show.
You are back in the 51st state, aren't you?
No, not yet.
Oh, you're not back in Canada yet.
No, I don't get back to the annex until till the end of January.
Be sure you fly across the Gulf of America.
What I will be in, I will be in the fire zone at next Friday.
Ooh,
so
that's not good.
I have a long-standing ticket to go to LA, which is probably at the time I booked it was fine.
Right.
Yeah.
Now
up until a week ago.
Yeah, now not so much, and I can't cancel unless they cancel flights. So
yeah,
as always, all of us I think have friends and family and former coworkers in the afflicted area. So keepers. Everybody stay safe.
Yeah, our hearts certainly go out to everyone who has been affected. I got to say, and please do not take this the wrong way, coming from the South, Tommy, help me out here. And Tommy, you remember this. You farmers, they talk about property and stuff like this. Well, I heard on the fire the other day, they said, 800 acres has been burned. I'm like, that's all? I thought it was like a lot. I know that's a lot. Don't get me wrong, but I'm like 800 acres. My dad owns 300.
Yeah, but I don't even think it's 800 acres now. It's
more than that.
It's way more than that. It's an area the size of Manhattan.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's nuts.
Well, it's their winds that are blowing the embers all over the place. So you got a little spot here, a little spot there, a little spot over there.
I saw a video of someone had taken a video of the winds blowing the fires, and the tree was like leaning like in a hurricane, but it was on fire, blowing all this
with all the embers just shooting off of it like a jet.
Yeah,
no telling where those things are going. Yeah,
my old Malibu beach office burned to the ground.
Oh no! Did it really?
Yeah, about a dozen of my favorite restaurants where I used to eat almost every day.
Man, are you talking about Mainbrain?
Yeah, the Mainbrain office. It's gone.
Oh man,
there's nothing there. I gotta here we'll get off topic because nobody in the audience cares about this. But the Danko sent me a video that he found of somebody who had been driving down PCH, and it's like that whole stretch. It's gone. Nothing.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, so it's bad. I mean, it's as bad as any hurricane in Florida. It's as bad as any blizzard in Montana. It's it's as bad as any tornado in the Midwest.
Yeah, it is. I folks used to kind of laugh at me when after I left California. Right. They would talk about the weather, because the weather out there is great. And I said, California has 4 seasons just like everybody else. It's earthquakes, fires, mudslides, and wind. Those are the 4
Well,
seasons.
speaking of earthquake, they've just had 2. They had a second earthquake just today.
California did?
Yes.
No way.
With all this going on, there's 2 earthquakes just happened.
What a pain in the butt.
We're trying to knock California just off, like Superman 2. Was it the second Superman where they just chopped it in half and it all fell off in the air?
I think it was the first one where Gene Hackman didn't understand how land works. That California's not just hanging over the water.
Well, he thought it was.
Yeah. that's like total 60s comic book logic. We'll just chop off. It's like the Bugs Bunny cartoon where he saws off Florida.
Yeah.
And Florida just floats away. It's like land. I mean, it's a funny cartoon, but land doesn't.
Right. That's what it was. When the thing, he bought all that land and then he was going to hope to chop off the edge so that he would have beachfront property. When
because he bought up like Arizona and Nevada and New Mexico.
And the terrible thing about fires is that I've experienced minor flooding, and you lose what's on the ground. Right? You lose all the stuff, or in our case, a flood came through the ceiling and it ruined everything that it ran down on. But then it was on the ground. So basically, it got up to about 4 inches in the house. So everything above that was fine, right? A fire destroys everything.
Yeah,
to the ground.
It's just.
And the thing is, I mean, for anybody, but most of us have paper collectibles.
Oh my gosh!
Like I have my house is basically a furnace waiting for a match. Because I got tons of comics, tons of original art. I got printed out scripts. I got books by the thousands. It's just no. And I'm sure, and I can't be the only one because I talked to people out in California this past week, and it's like, everything's just gone.
Yeah, I don't remember who it was, but I saw someone had forwarded on Twitter. Someone had forwarded a post made by someone who had lost everything, and the guy said, hey, I had a full run of the Avengers, I had a full run of Fantastic Four, and it's just all gone. It's just gone.
I'm not going to say his name, but I had a friend who had a collection of like Golden Age original art. And I don't mean a collection like 10 pieces. I mean a collection of like 40, 50 pieces that he had accumulated over his lifetime. It's like
a legit collection.
Like a legit collection. Like
not like me. Like I got one piece.
Yeah, it's like and it's a comic I worked on. It's like no, he had I mean, I'm laughing only because I can't cry.
Yes.
But it's just that much cool stuff gone. Never, because the original art is like a one. It's like a one only thing.
Yeah, I mean, you can buy another. I mean, it's expensive and it's pricey. You can buy another, Avengers #1.
Right.
You can, you can.
But the original art is
the original art. That's it. Yeah.
And if the kids today don't really understand, but when you work in a comic book office and the original art comes in from the artist, and you open up that envelope, that FedEx box, and you take it out and you hold it in your hand, it's like,
it's
okay.
magic.
It's magic because the comic book is cool too. You can flip through it and you can read it or whatever. But when you hold the original art in your hand and you see the ink line and you see how it digs into the paper and you see the faint blue line pencils or whatever, and you see what the inker sort of corrected, and you see what the where the penciler rethought a page or whatever and did something different. It's like, it's just you see the story of the comic in the original art.
Yeah.
And I don't even know what it would be like to lose all that.
Yeah, I cannot imagine. And Tom, I would even go so far as to say, I know we don't quite have that same thing today, but as a writer, I still get a similar feeling when I get an email and there's an image of the art page.
Oh yeah,
from something I'm working on. Right. Well, it's not the same as holding that. I was looking for a piece of art. I don't have one. Holding that art, but it still has that excitement. It's like, oh, that's
because
that's cool.
I tend to look at it 3 different times at least, where it first comes in and I look at it and it's like, someone just threw a piece of art at me and I'm just staring at it. That's cool.
Yeah.
But then I look at it like it's a museum piece where I'm just sitting there going, looking at the storytelling and see if it matched up the script with what I had in mind, and see the cool stuff the artist did or whatever. And then when I start to do the script for the balloons, I'm looking at it again, more like a scholar. It's like I might as well have a jeweler's loop and I'm looking at the art, down there like this. Like, okay, I can put the word balloon here. So yeah, that's right.
The loop.
Yeah. Well, and that's one thing too. I think it's the magic of an office. One of the things I loved about being at Malibu was exactly what you talked about, is that when that FedEx guy would come in with his big dolly full, and he'd dole, here's a package for you, here's a package for you. We'd all get our packages and scurry off to our offices, and then we'd come out and start sharing. Oh, look at this, look what I got. Right.
That's the thing too. You're that's the great thing about an office is you come out and you show all the other people what you got. Because I remember when I was I interviewed for a job at First Comics once. And I showed up at like 9:00 for the interview, and everybody's just hanging around. They're drinking coffee.
Yeah.
They're chatting about the game or whatever, and what they saw on TV. They're sitting there, and I found out the reason why is because FedEx guy didn't show up till 9:45.
They're waiting to get something to do.
Yeah. So from 9:00 until 9:45, they don't want to start anything,
right?
Because the FedEx guy is going to come, and then they'll know what their day is going to be like. And so, and that's what it felt like at Malibu. You get there about you show up about 9:00. You go around, you chat with everybody, and you hang out and catch up because at 9:45 it's like a starting pistol. It's going to go off, and so the boxes are going to come in, and you're going to find out. You're going to look at new art. You're going to find out which artist lied to you. And
that's right.
That said that they got it out. Yeah.
And so oh man, I'm putting it in the mail right now. And then you're going to find out.
I'm jumping in the car.
Yeah,
you're right. Yeah.
Oh my wife or my girlfriend was supposed to drop it off last night.
Right.
They didn't do it. Oh, it's going to come out today.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
That could be another show we could do, the pros and cons of the traditional to digital pages and stuff. That could be something we could talk about. Well, which is it better or is it worse? What's the difference?
Well, I love the fact that Tommy says, "Hey, I finished this page. I'll email it to you in 30 minutes."
Right.
Yeah.
Put it in the Dropbox. Here's the link. Go grab it.
Yeah, here's the Dropbox. Yeah.
What I like is that when you see it digitally, you can fix it right away.
Yeah.
It's like if there's something...
even if it was traditional, but I could scan it in for you ahead of time before, people at the, us at the, in our home studios, we couldn't scan those big sheets. And I'm just talking about the difference between the pages being traditional on paper compared to just totally doing it digitally where there is no paper.
Right.
So, maybe we can talk about that at some point.
Yeah.
Well, I also, there was something else that you had said. Oh, the thing is that the great thing about digital stuff is that, I mean, legitimately, over the years of working in comic book publishing, a couple of things did get lost in the mail that I really needed.
Yeah.
FedEx lost an entire painting, which is bad because it's an actual painting? it's a painting. Yeah, it was a dormant painting.
Oh my gosh.
And then there was a package where a couple of pages or whatever went missing, and it's like with digital, it's like, no, I can send that again.
Right? Yeah.
I just send it again.
Yeah.
Now I think I had I think at least one box with you guys at Malibu, and then one box to Marvel. But luckily, you as we say that we're running to FedEx to send you the thing. No, we're running to Kinko's first, and then to FedEx so we can make copies. And like I've said before, we know which of the copier is the good copier that they've got.
It's like, because I've sat. It wasn't a Kinko's, but it was an independent place in my town. They had a row of 6 copiers, and there's one.
Yeah.
That's the great copier.
The good one. The one that made the nice, the one that they keep up. Yeah.
Right. And it's like, it's not just like a little bit better. It's like all the way better.
Day and night. Yeah.
It's like,
it's got the black.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there'd be 5 copiers open, and somebody would be using the good copier. And I would just sit there, and somebody would say, "You want to use this one?" It's like, "Oh no, man."
I remember a couple of times Steven and I, or Midge and I, we would running to, we would carpool to FedEx or whatever, and it would be, stopping, and we'd all just wait behind each other for the one copier because that was the one to get, even though the rest of them are, and they were doing pencils, but I had to do my inks. I needed that to be on the good copier. It couldn't be on the bad. Well, just in case they got it. Well, I wanted copies for me, right? Yeah. But I needed copies for you, for just in case they did get lost.
Well, I think because I was talking to our mutual buddy Bruce McCorkindale.
Yeah.
And I found out when you first hear it, you think, "Oh, that's
Mike."
Hey, Mike Belcher's there. Hi, Mike.
Hi there.
When you first hear somebody doing it, it's like, well, I make photocopies of the pencils, and I make photocopies after I ink them. It's like, you think that's a lot of work. Except if the pages go missing, it's like, hey, Bruce,
yes,
what do you got?
Right.
I
made photocopies of the pencils that I got in first too before I even ink anything. I would, even though I needed to get ink, and I would go make copies of them just in case I spilled something on them, or if I needed. Well, then it's making copies is what I needed to be able to. If I was trying to find more work as an inker, you got to send the pencils along with the inks to whoever it is that you're sending
for your portfolio.
Also, and this I think is hugely important as a person in the creative arts, for example, is when you're sitting there mindlessly photocopying something at the Kinko's or whatever. It's some downtime where you're like, your brain, you're working. Sort of, but you're not necessarily on, you're not drawing or writing or coloring or inking.
Part of the job.
It's part of the job, but it's a time where your brain can sort of unwind as you're sort of doing a mindless job. So I like photocopying. I remember when there'd be times at Malibu where it's like, I could give this to the intern to photocopy, but I really want to get out of my office.
Get out of my chair for a little while. Walk around.
I want to wander around the office. I want to see what everybody else is working on.
I want to hold this George Perez page just a little bit longer
before I have to send it on to the next guy.
Before I have to,
because if I'm standing by the copier and somebody walks by, I want to be able to say, "Hey."
That's right.
You want to see what I'm working on?
I want to touch it.
I got a George Perez original in my hands.
You want to touch it?
You can't say that anymore.
No, I know. And we are joined late by that Mr. Mike W. Belcher, that man in the mask guy. What's up, Mike?
I'm doing pretty good. I guess with time passages, I decided to be late.
Hey, that's how you deal with aging in comics.
There you go.
You were pulling a me. You were pulling a Thomas and showing up late.
I was going to ask you if you had.
Did you go buy a new car? Is that what you did while you were
No,
late?
not today.
Oh,
No.
Car?
Yeah. Did you get a Toyota?
Did you get a Toyota?
Because Tommy got a Toyota last week.
No, that's right.
Yeah, that's why I was late.
Oh yeah, I was like, I'm missing something here.
Roland needs one of those captions to catch up.
There you go.
Dude, yeah. Yeah, I forgot to share it out. So I'm trying to do that now. So folks, wherever you are, please don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up button, hit the share button, get it all around so you can share the love that is Silverline. You're here, so you must like something about us. So share it out, like it, subscribe, all those other things. David A. Gutierrez. David, thanks for joining us tonight. He says, so far, flights in and out of LA.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he's talking about the fires. He said it is nothing short of devastating. And yeah,
It's crazy.
Yeah,
you know, even though the Disney area, you know, Disney's still open over there because Renee has to deal with those folks and stuff. But there's a lot of the folks that don't have power. You know, they didn't have the fire, but it knocked out the power and water in areas. It's crazy. It's that whole little, that big area is just. I feel so bad for him.
Yeah. David, are you safe over there? You're not in the fire zones, are you? We hope not.
What's weird is that, and again, because I like to make every disaster about myself.
It's all Tom.
Make it about yourself. But it's like if there's a tornado or a hurricane or whatever on the East Coast, maybe I'll hear about one person I know who was affected. But I got dozens of friends in Southern California, literally dozens who have been affected. We either lost everything or had to evacuate, or are just in a constant state of like a EMT where you never know when the alarm is going to go off and you have to pack up all your stuff and go.
Yeah,
it's like it's incredibly sad.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to watch the footage. I mean, it's just you absolutely your heart goes out to everybody out there.
I spent 20 minutes today watching helicopters dump water. There's a supercut of just helicopters dropping water on the fire. Yeah. And those guys are driving those helicopters like race cars. They're zooming in, they're dropping the water as quickly as they can. They're going back and filling it up. And they're dipping their buckets, their scoopers from the helicopter into people's swimming pools just to get the water that they can.
Yeah.
It's like it's everything. It's an incredible operation to watch.
I saw a stupid argument on Facebook. I kind of scrolled through it. And there was somebody, of course, you know, God bless.
Who was I arguing with?
No, it wasn't you. But somebody's like, well, why don't they go get the water out of the ocean? There's plenty of water there. I'm like, okay, yeah, and salt everything so nothing grows ever.
Well,
again?
at least they put the fire out.
Well, I don't know where. I mean, I assume they'll have to take the water from anywhere they can get it if it starts to run out. But
yeah,
because
some of the videos we watched today was we had to quit watching it where people were at work and then they couldn't get back to their house and then all of a sudden they for somehow there was, I don't know how many, it was a dozen or so where they were able to find their animals and stuff. They didn't abandon them like some people do, but they weren't anywhere by their homes when the fire hit and they didn't know what happened to their pets.
Yeah.
And they were finding it made us cry. It was like, that's terrible.
Yeah.
When I lived in Southern California and I had to evacuate once and I had to almost evacuate twice. And at the time I had horses, I had dogs, and I had 2 babies.
Wow.
And so, and a wife. And but the thing is
priorities.
Yeah, it's a list of importance. And then it's one thing when you've got just yourself and you got to pack your stuff up and keep it by the front door. It's another when you've got little kids and you've got big animals and because the big animals have to go to a special place and then you got to make arrangements for them to be hauled and stored safely and fed and cared for. And then you got kids and you send them off to military school or whatever. And, and then you've got everything else. It's a nightmare. I can't even imagine what people are going through.
I saw somebody offering up they were away, but they were offering up a free storage for livestock.
There's a place I think it's in Burbank that is it's like a riding academy or something where they will they do it, and there are other places, people who have big farms or whatever will take in animals, and they send out those huge horse trailers that can hold, like you see them on the highway sometimes. They hold like 10 horses at a time, and they're just immense. And they'll go and they'll pick up your horse.
Yeah, that's nice. You know, it's terrible to see things like this, and of course, it's terrible to read all the internet jerks who can't figure things out. But I think for me, I think one of the things that's kind of nice to see people react with kindness, to see how people come together when something like this happens.
Well, I think we've all seen over the years that no matter where you live, there is a thing.
Yeah.
There's going to be a hurricane. It's going to be a tornado. It's going to be a flood. There's going to be a fire. There's going to be an earthquake. There's going to be whatever disaster comes your way. It's like, and all we really have, is us.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's great. I mean, it's great to have the firefighters and the EMTs and all the other people come and help. But the immediate help is like the person next door, or the person across the street, or the person at the gas station, or the person at the 7-Eleven or whatever.
Yep.
So,
yeah, absolutely. David Rios says, I remember being at Tom's Malibu office for a party they held. Sucks is gone. Hey, David.
Don't make me cry, Dave Rios.
Yeah.
Not good time.
Yeah. David Ace Gutierrez says, yes, I'm in a good area. Fingers crossed. So
that's excellent.
We are glad.
Yeah, because the fires are still going right now. What is it? Still only like 10%, 20% contained? It's still
supposed to kick up again. So.
See, if someone could just make that wind quit, then they could get, they could
get those fires put out.
Oh, yeah.
Dump that ocean water on there that Roland doesn't want them to use.
No, it's not me. It's salt water, right? So
they got to get it out. They can figure
everything.
that part out afterwards. They just need to get the fires put out.
But it kills everything. It kills the grass, the trees, the bugs, and
but the buildings will still be there. That's the important part.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I'm probably wrong, but I would think that they got to just get it. Whatever.
So tonight.
Yeah. Oh, we got a subject?
Yeah, we got a subject. Tonight we're talking about time passages. Now, I kind of had two things in mind when thinking of this, and we can talk about both of them. I think one of them I'd rather talk about a little bit longer. Depends on what you guys think. And one of them is time passing in the stories. Like you're reading a comic and it says, hey, a week later or the next day or that morning, or really we're just talking about transitions, right? The other aspect is literally real time passing in comic time. So for instance, Superman has been around since 1939, 38 or 9, right? I don't know how many years.
But in comic, how many years is it?
Right. Yeah. In comics, how many years is it? Why is it Peter Parker 70 years old? Because he was in school in 61, right? So that's about the age of my parents. Why isn't he 80? Right?
Well, he didn't. I mean, he didn't get out of high school till he was 40.
Right.
Also, the Hulk has been around so long he turned gray.
Right.
That's true.
Hyper Potato says, "Quick before my feed freezes up, like and subscribe, kids." Hyper, why would your feed freeze up? Are you up in there?
Because it's cold.
It's cold.
It is kind of cold.
Well, it's either cold, it's either everybody's frozen, or we're on fire right now in the United States. Isn't that crazy?
That's true. Computer.
We made it up to 40 today, so that's an achievement. After being in the 20s for the last week.
Yeah,
it's supposed to get down to 45 tonight. So
it's 45.
It's 52 here in Orlando right now.
Yeah. David Rios says Hulk was gray first.
Oh, then he's like the Benjamin Button. He's going backwards.
Yeah.
So I'll go first, and you guys jump in. One of the things I have a problem with is when I'm reading a comic and number one, we don't know where we're going but clearly there's a passage of time because you figure it out after you've read a couple panels. You're like, wait, what? But there's no caption there that tells you,
there's no time clock. Picture,
last week. There's not a clock up in the caption. There's nothing there that says last week or last year or last month. You're just reading and you're like, wait, what? This doesn't make any sense.
I think that's, well, maybe I'm wrong, but I think that's the Tarantino influence, where it's just you jump around in time in a movie, like you do in Pulp Fiction, but it's easy to follow because of the way the movie is set up,
right?
And that does, just because Tarantino does it in a movie and you want to copy it in a comic book, it's not a one-to-one translation, because it's way harder to pull off in a comic.
Well, and I want to be really quick to say here, comics are not television shows. Comics are not movies, right? They're different. They should be different, right?
That's what I think is missing from some creators. It's like, they do this cool thing in a movie or a TV show. I want to figure out how to do it in a comic book. It's like, well, you don't copy it. You figure out how to make it work in the comic, because the comic is a different form. It's just like if you had a cool idea and you wanted to translate it into radio, you would still want to figure it out to the format of radio,
right?
And still get the cool effect. You don't want to copy it directly because it won't work.
Right. You want to figure out how to make it work in your format.
Right, because the person who does figure that out will be the genius. It's like, oh man, I didn't see that coming.
And it'll be known as that person's effect, right?
Yes, exactly.
It's like Kirby dots, right?
Like like the Kirby crackle, or like when like in American Flag, where Chaykin would have the TV set in the background, giving you planting a seed like a Chekhov's gun that would come back later in the script. And so I think you've got to figure out the technique that you think is cool, but just adapt it to the format that you're working.
Right. Hyper says, a balmy 44 here. I switched to consumer cellular to save money. Not a steady signal at my house.
That's why you should get Cricket Mobile. It's only $15 a month, according to Ryan Reynolds.
I don't think they'll be calling him.
And he says it every 15 minutes.
That's right.
Yeah. I guess unless it's a pivotal point of the story of the particular comic, a year from now, everybody dies. So, a year, so the time has to take. So it doesn't bother me that time doesn't go by because I don't think about it. Yeah.
I think
unless there's a reason for there to be a real time passage, I don't think, it matters.
I think if you're doing a graphic novel like Watchmen, you can sort of get away with long periods of time happening. Yeah. But if you're doing a serialized comic like Spider-Man or like Man in the Mask that Mike does, you don't want to constrain yourself by having a story take place over a long period of time, because you're going to have a lot more stories to tell.
Yeah.
And so when I do stuff that's serialized, I try to keep everything into like a day or two, maybe 3 days or 4 days, because that's my block.
Yeah. Otherwise, all my Kid Hero stuff, they're in the first grade forever, because that's where it all takes place. Right. So it's they're never going to go to the second grade or the third grade. They're not going to have a story
start in September and wrap it up in June. It doesn't make any.
No, because it's all supposed to be. Yeah.
Davis says that's Mint Mobile.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, I'm not.
Obviously, those commercials have worked on me because I can't remember the name of the product.
Pops says, I am spread so thin anymore. Hi, gents. Hey, Pops. Good to see you here.
Hello.
Thanks for hanging out with us.
I'm so old, I'd like to be spread thin.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Mike, what do you think?
Well, as far as the great thing about comics, as far as time progression, I mean, you can play with it. And as far as making sure someone knows where that particular scene is to the next page, I mean, it's just a progression, because I'm with Tom. Usually when you're writing a current story, I like to think it's either a day or two or a week, and then you can kind of play with how the progression goes, depending if it's a night scene to a daytime scene. So you're kind of giving the reader the impression that there's time between the page you just read to the next page. And so we can play with progression. We can play with, as far as making sure the reader knows where you're at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's kind of how I approach it. As far as when I'm reading, that's why I kind of want the information to be given to me.
Right.
It's like, how long of a time period are we talking about between this page and this page over here, and how are we progressing through the story?
Yeah, and I think that's something. I think that's something that the reader needs to know. The reader needs to know, in most instances, maybe not every instance, it's like, okay, how long are we taking to get from point A to point B, right?
Exactly.
Is this taking us all day long? We don't need to see if Batman gets in the Batcar.
We want to see him driving down the street.
We don't need to see that, but
for 3 hours to get across town.
Does it take him 3 hours to get there, or does it take him 20 minutes? Right?
Yeah.
Sometimes that's important information.
Two panels it takes him to get there.
Yeah, because one of the things is I think I've said this before. I got hooked watching Dragnet. Dragnet 67 on MeTV, and it's like when they get a call to go somewhere, they got to get up from their desk, they got to walk down the hall, they got to go down the stairs, they got to go out the sidewalk, they got to get in their car, they got to drive out of the parking lot, they got to drive downtown, they got to get out of the car, they got to walk.
Got to get gas somewhere.
Yeah, it's like enough already.
Right.
Like, none of this.
We just assume they're doing all that.
Yeah.
Right. Give me a quick cut.
Well, and see, and I think for comics, all I need is just give me a little caption that says 15 minutes later.
Right.
Yeah.
I am happy.
Yeah.
Because
then I'll make a note. It takes Batman 15 minutes to get from downtown.
Yeah,
and then the next time it takes longer than that, I'm going to call up and say, "Hey, listen,
what was he doing?" I think they're going to go. He had to go to the men's room before he left.
He had to get a case of Red Bull for Robin.
That's right. He was hungry. Stopped at McDonald's or something on the way.
Do you think it is the influence of television that so many current or modern day writers don't do that?
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah.
I've got another opinion why we don't see them aging.
Okay. Well, that's the aging thing. Let's stick to the time for just a second.
Oh, I thought it was all the same thing.
Well, it can be, I guess.
I think it's
because time passes, you age. It's why.
I think it's definitely the influence of television and movies.
Yeah.
And I also think it's the short attention span.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The YouTube generation, they need their information in small.
Give it to me. I don't have time. I don't have time to waste with information dumps. I gotta just get me in the story.
Yeah. What's funny is we talk about in my class at school. We talk about the kind of some of the differences between, say, manga and Western art, and Western stories kind of have that structure of 1/4, 1/2, 1/4. There's 1/4. The first 1/4 is the setup, your act one, right? Introducing everything, setting it all up. Manga has very long first acts.
Yeah.
And what's surprising to me is that most Western audiences don't like that, because they're like, come on, I don't need this. Let's get to it. Get to the story. But yet there's readers of manga who are completely okay with all that.
Oh yeah.
And this is part of why I've had problems trying to read, because I've tried to read all kinds of manga that my students have recommended, and I just I can't get through it. It's like, come on, get to something, will you?
It's kind of like those slice of life comics. It's like, well, I live that. I don't want to read that.
Yeah. Right. It's why I could never get into. I know everybody. I know there are people who love him. I could never get into American Splendor.
Oh yeah.
It's like I understand it's an art form. I understand people love it. I understand it's critically acclaimed. Whatever. For me, it doesn't work because it's like I don't see it.
Right.
There's no. It's not a thing for me. No. And so, but for the manga stuff, it's a lot of character work.
Yes.
And it's a lot of seeing the character who's about to become a pirate or whatever, buying soda from the vending machine, hanging out with his friends, playing some video games or whatever. And then along about page 60 or whatever, it's like, oh, I got a pirate hat and a sword. I better get on this boat. And so,
My problem is I can't make it to 60 for that.
Well, that's the thing. I think it's
because they're thick.
You either get into it or you don't. And I think it's because we grew up a certain way.
Oh yeah.
And we have our comics are a certain way.
Yes. Yeah.
And
Roland and I are like, oh, hey, there's going to be a fight. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's this is one of the reasons I always loved Stan Lee stories. Right? Is that page 1? There's Spider-Man already tangling up with somebody,
that's right.
And he's like, "How did I get here? Oh, let me tell you how I get here." And then he spends 1 page telling you how he got there, and the rest of it is like, "Okay, let's try to resolve."
Aunt May sent him out to get something.
The thing is, though, in American comics, you have 22 pages.
Yes.
And in manga, you got like 144 or 188.
So you got to fill it with something.
And you can do some of the goofy stuff.
I love this hyper comment. Give me a slice of bologna, not a slice of life.
Yeah, me too.
I would take a slice of life comic if I found it interesting and if the character wasn't just a jerk for the sake of being a jerk.
Right. Yeah.
If I will go for any
boring.
comic. I will go for any comic if it's interesting to me. I don't care who makes it. I don't care what it's about. I don't care what the matter is. If you can make it interesting, I'm in. Just like a movie, just like a TV show.
Right.
Because there's stuff that I watch and I'll tell somebody I watched it and they'll go, you like that? Yeah, because it's interesting.
Yeah. All right, Tommy. So what about it? So let's talk about time.
My thought of the reason why they're don't it's a corporate thing. You know, if I got something good going with Spider-Man, why do I want him to all of a sudden age so quickly and then his book is done and we're not making any money? If we spend all this money trying to and he gets hot, why do I want to age him out and then all of a sudden he's dead? You know, because he got older. You know, if he dies in a fight, that's one thing. But if he dies just because he got old, you know, and I spent, you know, all this multiple, you know, we're making millions of dollars off of Spider-Man, and we're like, no, now he's 100, he's dead, and then he's over.
He's perpetually 30 now.
Yeah. I think that's probably that's why they keep rebooting him and then starting him back over in high school, and then he gets out of college, and then we reboot him again, and then he's back in high school again.
I agree with that take. I also have a supplemental take.
Okay.
Which is comic books used to be designed for the audience to leave.
Yes.
And so the audience would leave. There's a golden age. I think it was Mark Waid who said the golden age of comics is when you're 12 years old.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to not read comics anymore when you turn 14, 15, 16 because other interests take over. And so DC had this philosophy of we don't have to have our characters grow because over 4 years or 5 years, that audience is gone and there's a new audience.
Moved on.
So there isn't anybody going, well, this character should be 50.
Right. Because we were supposed to be gone by now. Right.
And because fans didn't stick around, and now fans stick around. And so we're reading the same comics at 50 that we read when we were 7.
Yeah.
And so it's, you know, we're the ones now digging into the work going, well, what happened on Tuesday, September 14th, 1964 to this character? Somebody's got to write that story.
Well, and that is interesting because think about it. Think about your time when you were younger getting into comics.
Yeah.
I almost didn't. I didn't know anyone who said, yes, I've been reading comics since the 1950s. Right?
Yeah.
No one. Yeah. Now I knew a few who'd been reading comics for, you know, several years because I was in the 1970s, so it was the 1960s, I guess, the Marvel age that did it all. I guess I don't know, but I didn't know anyone who had. I knew people who had 50s.
That's what I was going to say. We you know we're still doing. We knew some of our older siblings and stuff, and our older cousins and things that had read comics because they gave you their old ones.
That's right. Yeah.
You know, but they weren't still reading them. Not a lot of them like it is now, where we all just.
You're supposed to outgrow them and stop reading them, and you're not supposed to obsessively collect them and still. You know, still love them, which I guess the joke's on me because I still love them.
Well, but the company started seeing that keeping an audience, you know, kind of your readership.
Money.
You know, it's money in the bank if you keep readership.
that's the thing too. A corporate philosophy now is if you have an audience, how you got to keep that audience.
How do we keep them from leaving?
It's like M&M's doesn't want you to stop eating M&M's when you turn 18 and move on to more adult candy.
Realizing that it's not really that great for you.
Yeah, they want you to still buy M&M's.
Yeah. The low-fat M&Ms. We're going to keep you forever.
Low-fat M&Ms. Is that a thing, really?
Yeah, I know. That's what they're for their us old folks. You're going to make wheat M&Ms, so that way they're less bad for you.
I need organic grains. I need quinoa M&Ms.
That's right.
Keto M&Ms. Ryan Permisson says, "Hey, you guys, what is
What's
up,
up,
Ryan? For those of you who don't know, Ryan has joined the Madness Network."
What? As what? What's he doing?
He's interviewing folks like us. So you guys, get on the list. I have had more than one conversation with Ryan, and it's always a lot of fun. So,
all right.
We'll hook you guys up.
As soon as I get my comic book out.
That's right. David Ace Gutierrez has a question. He says, Ultiverse question. Did you plan on keeping characters in second act, not aging? Mantra 1 and Firearm being the exceptions as they had endings.
I don't even know it because I think we didn't live long enough to have to make that decision. So we didn't plan for it.
To my recollection, our plan was they'll be here forever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because the beauty of the system that was set up was that if you created a character in the Ultiverse, you would benefit from the licensing of that character in perpetuity over your lifetime. So I wouldn't want Prototype to age or change or be grown out of the system if it affected my deal.
Right.
Y'all always seem pretty good at introducing new characters and stuff too. Maybe they didn't get a book, but they showed they would stick around for a while.
I remember, maybe Roland can correct me if I get this wrong, but I remember we would sit around after it was launched and we would endlessly talk about, well, what character were we missing? What don't we have?
We need to fill this spot.
It wasn't so much creators pitching out new characters. It was really it was very analytical. It's like, well, we don't need two speedy characters. We don't need two women swordsmen.
We need somebody that kind of does this. Let's figure that out. Yeah.
And once we start batting this around, then it becomes like, well, is this going to be a one-shot character, or is this going to be something that you could build a book out of? And so
or can we introduce it in this book? Can we grow them?
Yeah, because that was sort of the thing about Rune is how can we could do a Rune #1, but wouldn't it be more fun to put Rune A, B, C, and D and bring him out? And so I think we were always sort of looking at it. I mean, it sounds kind of crass, but we were trying to figure out a way to, once we made it up, we were trying to figure out a way to organically introduce it so it would be cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And keep in mind, of course, we were all fans of those 60s comics, and we can remember, hey, our conversations, do you remember how they introduced this character in this comic?
Yes.
Let's do it kind of like that, right?
Yeah. Because I think what we would always do, and I know Gerber and Engelhardt were like the masters at this, is we would throw things out, and then Gerber would say, Marvel already did it. And then and Gerber would say it in like a negative way, like that would end the conversation. And then we would say, okay, Steve, that's great. Now, acknowledging that they did it that way, how can we do it that same thing, but different? What can we bring to create that same sort of feeling in the fans? Yeah. So but
different.
Yeah, we would take Gerber's negativity and sort of flip it and figure out, okay, well, how can we just redo that? So I don't know if that answers his question, but that's my answer.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know that I don't know that we actually had that kind of thinking about it. So hey, we're just making up. David says you channeled Gerber for good.
That's right. We took Gerber's power and we used it for good instead of negativity.
Yeah.
We made him a positive influence.
Ryan says his show is Freewheeling Fridays, 11 p.m. Eastern Time. Sign up.
Oh, all right.
So, you can count on Ryan. Ryan usually says, hey, man, I will often say, hey, we've got this thing coming up. You have a slot for, this guy here or this gal there to help promote it. And Ryan's like, hey, I'll work you in. Or he'll reach out and say, hey, I've got a hole. got
Divinity
anybody?
#1 with Barb Kalberg.
Yep, absolutely. I think he just had Tim on for the crowdfunder. Yeah.
All right.
Which I forgot to mention, by the way.
Because we've got one running right now.
Yeah. Let me
pop it up there.
Agent Cub says, "What do you mean you don't need 2 speed characters? You never have enough speed characters."
That's.
Well, I don't know about that.
I think you can definitely have too many speed
characters.
That
That whole Flash family stuff is just
because I don't think speed characters work in comics as well as other characters do. So
I don't think they do either. And when you've got 6 of them, the whole Flash family, that is way too many.
Yeah.
Nothing. Too many speed lines. Takes too much ink.
So you can go to silverlinecomicscrowdfunder.com and you will find our latest campaign. Let me see if I can share it.
Who are you looking at? You talking to God or something? You're like
his ceiling light.
I have a screen right up there.
No, you're not. You're talking to the ceiling.
Yeah, you're watching Breaking Bad up there.
Oh, you're watching TV?
No. All right, here we go.
There you go.
Show that great cover again.
Yeah, I'm getting to it here. Here we go. So got 5 backers and $77 raised in 4 days, 23 days to go. So you guys still got plenty of time.
Did I do one of the cover? Yeah, I did the middle cover there.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can zoom in on them.
And that's the inks I think are available for that one if somebody wants to buy it.
The pencils and the cover? Inks.
Yeah.
Let me
Here it is.
I can't get close enough to those. Let me see if I can open them up in a file. I have the files, so I can do this.
That sounds like the catchphrase of a bad TV show. I have the files.
I've got the files. Files.
All right, let's see. Open up. All right, give my Photoshop here a minute to open up. That one over there. Let me stop sharing that screen and share this one.
Share the good screen.
Yes, there we go. There it is.
That's
yes. Now this one will be part of the reason it looks a little wonky. This one's going to. Oh wait, I have a.
Is that the metallic cover?
It is a metallic cover. I don't happen to have it right here. I think it's in the other room. You guys talk about it. I'll go get it.
It's a great cover because it has a very sort of movie feel to it, and it's got classic elements. It's got the grandfather clock, so there's a time element. It's a train. America loves trains. It's got a guy in a funny hat and a hot woman and like a Doctor Who type of character in the middle. So it's got, if you love all those things,
it's got those. It's not sepia colors, but it's got that look, that feel to it.
Yeah, it's got that classic feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think
there it is.
There it is.
Ooh,
look at that
metal.
So this is what it's going to look like. And as a reminder, this foil cover is only available through the crowdfunder. So if you like this shiny stuff, you have to get on here now and get this crowdfunder. You'll still be able to get the comic, of course, but you won't be able to get this shiny unless somebody decides they want to sell theirs to you. But this is gorgeous. Did y'all mention who did it? I stepped away and didn't hear.
No, we did not.
This is this cover is done by Ray Fujiwara, who is the artist. Oop, that's a sample.
That's my insight.
That's
all my
Tommy's
inside.
Yeah, I can't show the most of those pages.
And he's the one drawing my new comic, isn't he?
He's the one drawing. About to get started on the. He just got delivered a script. Yesterday, day before.
Yes,
it's Friday, something like that. I don't remember. Yeah, just got delivered the script, so we haven't even heard back from him yet. So yeah, we are excited about that. The other cover, let's see here. At the stage, then we have cover B. This is Dean Zachary and Thomas Flormonti cover. So you can see the scooch right
they make a good pair.
They do.
At Flormonti.
They make a good pair. Yeah, and then the other cover,
and that one is available. The inks are available on that one.
Yes,
yeah. And the pencils too.
The pencil, the original art pencils, and the original art inks are both available for this cover. So
you'll grab it. I'm sure. What's the price tag if we put on it? 150, 125, somewhere in there.
You're asking me to remember too many things, dude.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to sell it, Roland. I'm trying to get people to go over there and buy it.
Well,
get the craft.
It's well worth it to own an original piece of art. Get some original inks from Tommy, which we talked about a little bit before. These things are getting a little more rare as the days go by, as artists shift to digital work. So,
yeah, I still try to do enough of the stuff for the Kickstarter, so we have not Kickstarters. I'm sorry, crowdfunders. So we can have some physical stuff.
Because sometimes I'll ask you, hey Tommy, will you ink this one on paper? Or sometimes Tommy will even say, hey, do you want me to ink this one on paper for the crowdfunder? Right? Because if not, he'll ink it on digital.
I'm going digital because it's just more convenient.
And then this last cover here is by Javier Lugo, who is working on a project with Ron Fortier.
Oh, there we go.
He's finished the whole first issue pencils. It's being inked and colored. So anyway, that's Wolf Hunter. Y'all get over there and back it if you can. If you can't back it, please consider sharing it out and telling all of your friends that you want them to go back it. Agent Cub says, are you guys setting up at MegaCon? We are not setting up at MegaCon, Agent Cub. We are setting up at the better show. We're setting up at ShadowCon.
ShadowCon.
Yeah, ShadowCon in Orlando, Florida.
Yep, ShadowCon.
Right down the street from MegaCon.
Yeah. and it is a comic
February 1.
Yep.
Right? Yeah.
Yes, February 1st. So one day show only. So the guy who does it does the Daytona Beach Comic Con, and he is a comic book fan, comic book dealer, comic book collector, whatever you want to say. He is a comic book guy, and he runs comic book shows. If you like comic books, here's our good shows. You're not going to see a whole lot of. Matter of fact, I'm not sure you'll see any actors or anything like that at his shows.
And I'm going to go on a line and say that parking is not $30 a day to park to go to ShadowCon either.
It was $50 to
$40 a day.
Yeah, it was $50 last year
at MegaCon.
Yeah.
Yes.
We could talk about this off the air.
That's like San Diego.
That's aggravating.
Oh, look at this. Agent Cup says, well, if you're not setting up a MegaCon, then I'm not going to go.
There we go.
Well, come to ShadowCon.
Come to ShadowCon.
Yeah.
You're going to get bigger bang for your buck at ShadowCon. And we'll have to, I'll be there. Tommy will be there.
Jose Fuentes will be there.
Jose Fuentes will be there.
And Jeff going to be there?
Jeff Whiting?
Jeff Whiting, I think, will be there. Yep.
Yeah.
Get some more Ultraverse book signed.
Jeff Whiting's working on a new book. He's been posting pages on Facebook lately, and it looks fantastic. Oh my god!
Wow. Yeah. Jeff's a fantastic artist. When we first started this years ago, you can ask Tommy. I kept telling Jeff, come on, Jeff, come work with us. Jeff, come work with us. Jeff, come work with us. Oh, I got my own thing I'm gonna do.
Well, his own thing is great.
Yeah, so I agree. Yeah. Has Roland mentioned the ShadowCon thing on the Tweeter? It sounds fun.
Well, we mentioned it on Blue Sky a lot.
I'm pretty sure we have. I'm not real sure. It's February 1st, though, Hyper. You should make the drive down.
Yep.
Take the little lady to Disney or Universal.
Go to the parks.
Swing by.
Yeah.
Because
with the money you save on parking at ShadowCon, you can afford to do it.
Then you can spend money on comics.
I agree, David. He said this is a fantastic cover. He's talking about Ray's Wolf Hunter cover. Who, what, where, and when is all answered. That is absolutely. That's the kind of cover that I'm just like, yeah, look at that. Yeah.
You when that comes over the email or whatever, that you just want to stare at that thing.
That's right. Yeah, you're just like, oh, and then you think I have to open it. I have to see. I see what's
I can't now. I can't wait to get it colored. Then when you get it colored, it's I don't.
Yeah. So how did we get off on Wolf Hunter? Other than we forgot to mention it.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think we got sidetracked.
Yeah. I was trying to think, where were we on the time stuff?
Aging.
So I think what's happening,
getting aging because the corporate people don't want them to get older.
Yeah.
Okay. So what about for, all right. So I'm going to throw myself out there. What about for independent comics? Right. So, so Cat and Mouse, early 90s, right? Late 80s, early 90s, had a character, Demon. A lot of folks like the character, as do I. He is, David says, Roland is hurting cats today. I can't feel it. So, what, 35 years later, these Cat and Mouse is around again. It's not the same Cat and Mouse. I partially did that because of that very question. It's like, okay, well, and I felt the first Cat and Mouse ended. For those of you who don't remember, the first Cat and Mouse ended. They finished what I felt was their arc.
Yeah.
And they were in a place, and I'm like, nah, let me just get and the world had been set up already where I could say, it's really easy to bring in a new Cat and Mouse.
Yeah. But I think that's the function of the thing that you created. Yeah. Where it's like 35 years later. Like you don't have and no disrespect, but you don't have a 35-year continuing audience.
Correct.
So
yes.
you basically have a hole where you could jump time.
Yeah.
And introduce a new Cat and Mouse to a new audience.
My feeling is I'm searching for a whole new audience plus a few from the old days.
Right. Yeah. And you can do that because the great thing about independent comics is it's yours. And right. I think that's yeah. So you can
you want them to get old, that's up to you.
Yeah.
It's not,
Well, and you have the character Demon, right? Yeah. I do not see him as an old guy, right? I still see him the same way I saw him 35 years ago.
Right. But the trick is, I think, is his name is Demon. So he doesn't need to.
That's right.
He doesn't need to age.
Max Apocalypse says, can only stay a few minutes, gang. Max, it's good to see you here. Happy New Year.
We should point out that Max follows us on the Blue Sky, and he reposts a bunch of our stuff with positive comments. So he is above and beyond a good dude.
Thank you so much, Max. We appreciate that. Always need to get that word out, and we can only do that with you guys' help. He says, no need for a sliding time scale when you don't have corporate IP to protect, as in Batman doesn't always have to be Bruce Wayne, etc.
Right. And I think that's where you get into, because it's corporate comics, that's where you get into that timeline slide where you end up going, well, we got a Batman comic, but we can also do an alternative history where Batman is 140 years old or whatever.
Right.
We can also do an alternative timeline where Batman is in his teens,
right?
Fighting someone at Gotham Academy or whatever as he's growing up, and you can do all these different variants and timeline shifts. They even
put Batman in the Civil War,
right? And so, which is weird, but still,
it is weird.
That's and so I think that's what you find is corporate comics trying to find a way to keep the thing alive as the character, as the maybe the character isn't physically 100 years old, but in pop culture he's 100 years old. And how do you keep it?
Yeah.
How do you keep it fresh? Well, you do an old person take, you do a teenage take, you do an alternative history take, and that's what you do because I don't know if anybody knows this, but new comics have to come out every 28 days.
That's right, they sure do. Max says, I never catch you guys live. Well, you have tonight, Max.
There you go. We're here.
It's a good, a New Year's.
I hope we don't disappoint.
That's right. David X. Gutierrez says, Bruce Wayne, who is eternally 35, had a dozen Robins.
Yeah. So he is a very poor caretaker of his children. He does an exceptionally poor job.
It's like, why does Bruce Wayne never get married? Just take a trip to the cemetery. That's why. So here's a question then for you. As a reader, does it bother you that Peter Parker is perpetually
essentially the same age?
Same guy.
No, it doesn't bother me. I always thought it was, in my mind, I kind of rationalized it as it's not, even though it's, a month later for the next book to come out, in essence, it's really just the next day. Yep. All these books, you could take a whole year worth of 12 issues, and that's really like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Maybe.
600 issues is just 600 days.
Yeah.
Essentially. Or less. You see some of the X-Men books where they're fighting through 3 or 4 books. And it's like, well, that all happened at the same time. So I just kind of always thought it was, it's not my time, it's their time. Their time is still, when the book came out.
Right. Also, the thing is, I don't have OCD about this stuff, so it's
I don't think twice about it.
It's like MASH was on the air for 9 years or 10 years or whatever, and the Korean War was only 4 years or 3 years. So, I mean, you can point that out to me in a meme or on a comment on Facebook or whatever, and it's funny, it's clever, it's cute or whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't affect my enjoyment of the show because the show was still interesting.
Right.
Yeah. And it's like, how many episodes was it? Say it was 100 episodes. Well, that's just 100 days, right? Because it all happens right at the same time. Not a week later for them.
And then once I get that out of my system, it's like, okay, I'll still watch MASH. It's like it doesn't.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
it's like the Simpsons have been on for 35 years, and Bart and Lisa
they're still in school.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing there that makes you. It's called suspension of disbelief. Have
right.
fun with it.
Or the South Park kids. They're still in school.
Well, and literature gets away with it as well. You look at something like James Bond, right?
Yep.
How many James Bond's books are there? And he doesn't go from a young man to an old man, right?
Well, he kind of does.
Well, the actor does.
Yeah.
Actors.
Well, they just change actors, right?
Yeah.
They just get a new young guy.
Yeah. The franchises are the ultimate disposable, where it's like you're there until you're too old, and then you're out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and when Chadwick Boseman died, there was a lot of people, who was like, oh no, we don't need another Black Panther. I made the argument that you do. Get another young, handsome black guy to go be the Black Panther.
Yeah, we've had this talk.
As sad as it is, and it was, Chadwick Boseman was fantastic, right? I think the character is more important to
not in a mean way where it kind of sounds like if it was too early to have the second movie, then you give it another year or two and then put it out.
Give it time. I mean, the fiction is more important than the situation.
Yes.
I mean, even in comics, Kirby left Fantastic Four, but that doesn't mean Fantastic Four needed to go away.
Right.
I mean, it's just that's the way it works.
Because the thing is, you're not doing the Chadwick Boseman story. You're doing the Black Panther story.
Right.
And I think that's the key. That's why James Bond can be replaced. You're not doing the Roger Moore
and I
story.
think we're going to see this with the Captain America thing with the Falcon guy playing the new Captain America, just because we didn't want him. The actor didn't want to be Captain America anymore.
Right.
And
why do we not have Captain America still?
That
guy was a great Captain America, but if he doesn't want to do it anymore, that doesn't mean we should just kill Captain America off.
I say replace them all.
Yeah, why not?
It's like I come from this as a comic book kid, which is when I was reading Batman or Fantastic Four or whatever, the artist would leave.
Yeah.
They didn't cancel the
doesn't
book.
mean it's over.
They got a new artist. And so or they got a new writer, or they got, whatever.
Right.
And so I think my brain is still attuned to that. James Bond isn't going to end.
Right.
They're just going to get me a new James Bond. Fantastic Four isn't going to end. They're just going to replace Rich Buckler with George Perez, thank God.
Right.
And so I think that's where my brain is sort of geared to the replacement theory of entertainment.
Well, and I think at large, particularly if we're talking about like the James Bond movies, the general population is okay with it too. Yeah. Who's the new James Bond?
So the difference to me is that like Man in the Mask is Mike Belcher.
Yes.
If Mike Belcher passes away, I'm not sure I want to see new people take over Man in the Mask. However, if Man in the Mask passes away, I want to see what Mike does next.
Yes.
And so those are the distinctions that I make between creator and creation.
Right. Yeah. That's a good one. Max says the Phantom has the legacy thing down with multiple Bruce Waynes. I also like the Archie "who the heck cares" approach. Right?
Yeah. There's a lot to be said for the goofy Archie approach.
Yeah,
there is. Especially in high school.
Look, they're still in high school, but also they're fighting zombies, and also they're superheroes, and also they're whatever.
And they haven't changed a bit.
No.
With the same corny jokes.
Yeah. Hyper's got up thank you, Hyper, for the link. Oh, and then Max says, I funded it. Woohoo! Thank you, Max.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
There's a cool cover you could go buy.
Bart isn't a college graduate, but Homer and Marge are the same age as they were in 1989, which is the difference between Bruce Wayne still being 35 and Dick is in like 29.
Well, that's the selective progression because you can do it, because somebody thought, oh, we need Dick Grayson to be something, Marv Wolfman said, hey, what's next for Dick Grayson? So let's age him up a little bit. But, Bruce didn't age. No, we're just paying attention. And, that's something that you can get away with in comics. It's comic progression. I do that with Man in the Mask. I let time go to a point, and then the current version, I kind of leave it as a nebulous time. There's not really I'm not spelling it out for you because I'm trying to make it timeless. I'm not tying it to an event. I'm not putting in references that are only, I try to make it timeless because I know for at least the foreseeable future the kind of stories that I want to tell.
Also, I think
getting old.
I think a number of us would like our work to have a chance at being an evergreen.
Yeah.
And so we don't want to have it. We don't want to have dated references or have the book appear to be old.
Right.
If someone's just discovering it. And I think it's that fine line where you got to figure out where your balance is between dating your book and not dating it.
Because you don't be Stan Lee with Daddy-O,
that Snapper Car guy from the Justice League, like, hey, my man, Batman, how's it hanging?
Yeah. Max says, granted, no one's age is as mercurial as a child on an old school soap opera.
Yes.
The thing here, I've thought about that. Why does aging kids, because you think about some of the kids in comics, like young Fantastic Four's kid. What was his name?
Franklin.
Franklin, yeah. I think I have. Here's my theory, right? So,
did he ever get older, or is he still a little kid?
Well, so here's the thing about it. Right? So take the four of us, right? We think about each other. It's like, okay, yeah, Roland, your hair's not long anymore, and your beard's gray. You basically look the same as you did 40 years ago, right? Kids don't, right?
No.
Kids change so quickly from year to year to year to year. Yeah. Adults, things change, and I get saggy, I get gray, I get but that
you're essentially rolling.
And for the longer haul, there's smaller change, right? For the short haul for a kid, they change so drastically. So I think when we see them in comics, we want to see them change quickly to reflect this kid is learning and growing and aging. That's
unless you're doing a kid specific comic, there's very little you can do
with
kids.
I was fixing to say the same thing. It's like when you're watching the Powerpuff Girls, would you want to watch the show where they went from little girls to high school and then to college? No. That's not the Powerpuff Girls.
I would if that was the funny episode. I wouldn't if that was the progression for the show.
Right.
Yeah. The one.
If they're suddenly, oh look, we're teenagers in high school now.
Right.
Yeah.
That would be a funny episode.
Yeah. But I wouldn't want that to be the progression.
No.
I would like to see an old grandpa Spider-Man book as like a what if. That'd be kind of fun.
I think they've done it a couple times.
80, still trying to be a superhero. That'd be pretty fun.
He's shooting out gray webs, but they only go a couple feet.
Oh, my back. Oh, I'm still really strong, but my back gave out.
If you remember Spider-Man in the 60s, your back hurts now.
Yeah. Oh, Max says Franklin is a teenager in the current comics. I didn't know that.
Oh, okay.
There. I bet he's a whiny, bitchy little teenager.
Know it all.
Says Spider-Man Reign for the old
Old Spider-Man. Old Grandpa Spider-Man.
Yeah. Max says, I always keep up with Fantastic Four no matter what.
Well, it's interesting, guys. I try to keep up with Spider-Man and Batman.
Yeah.
Regardless, because I like to check in with them.
Yeah. I'm going through the process of, Tommy knows this because I talked to him about it some. I finally am going through the process of trying to catalog, enter all my comics into the CLZ app. Y'all talk about work. That's work.
It is a lot of work.
Well, you need an intern.
or BJ's putting them in there for you.
Or when you wish your kids still lived at home.
Yeah. You know, the thing about it is, it's really easy to do, say, a Marvel book, because you just find, okay, look, here's Amazing Spider-Man. All right, I got that one, right? Or not that one. You skip a bunch of them. Yeah. Independent comics is like, okay, I got 2 of these, 1 of those, 5 of those, 6 of those, and you got to search for them, and you're like, where the heck is it? The program, the software doesn't recognize. I got a box started over here that says something like CLZ doesn't recrecognize, because you can enter them.
They're not you can put them into the database.
Work.
Yeah. I have I've bought the same independent comic 3 times, thinking that I was filling in my collection. That's like, so I've got like issue number 1. I've got 3 issues of number 2. I got no issues of number 3, and I got 3 issues of number 4.
Yep.
Because I keep thinking, do I have this one? I better buy it while I have it. Like,
this is why I got the CLZ app, because I was running into the same problem. I've almost got 3 complete sets of the Elementals 1 through 15, right? It's like, I just, you find them for $1, like, oh, I think I've got this one, but I'm not real sure.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You can't, for $1, you can't take the chance.
No.
You gotta spend it.
I've almost decided I'm going to go ahead and complete the other 2 runs and give them away as a gift.
Yeah,
try to.
You should.
Yeah,
maybe trade them for the thing you need.
That's right. Yeah. Hey, I've got 1 through 20 of Elementals. Who wants a trade? Yeah.
That's right. I just need the Scorpion number 2.
Do people trade comics anymore?
I don't think so.
Maybe
they do on Facebook Marketplace, or maybe they do on something else. Trade My Comic or whatever it is, but
Trade My Comic. I'll have to look that one up. David says, I miss the Elementals. I never completed them. David, maybe you and I should talk.
Yeah. Roland's got a couple of sets of them.
David, the Elementals was one of my favorites as well. I enjoyed it.
It was a fun one.
Yeah. Okay, well, time in comics.
Our time has passed.
Our time has passed.
We all got older.
Any other thoughts about
time in comics? It depends on the circumstances, because you have Eric Larson with Savage Dragon. He does it in real time. His characters are not the same.
His Savage Dragon now has a kid who's
baby dragon,
right? Yeah.
Well, his son, the son is the Savage Dragon character.
He's the not so Savage Dragon, right?
I don't read the book, but I know it's progression like that.
Yeah.
He's the emo dragon.
Yeah.
He wears black.
I know it's a quite adult comic nowadays. That's the other thing.
Yeah, I've seen some images from it.
Yeah. So I mean, it's progressed its own way.
Yeah.
Right.
It would not get the comics code.
No.
Hyper says, I recently traded some comics for commission. Now that's kind of cool. Yeah. That works. Max says CLZ is good for helping me with gold key books that never have the numbers on the covers. Here's one of the things that I have. Apparently, it's fairly new, but since all of it's new to me, it's just a thing. You can if you're like, I can't find this book, you can, because I'm using my tablet. You can scan the cover, and CLZ says, I think it's this book, and you're like, yes, it is, and that's really nice.
It scans barcodes too. If
it does,
you got any with the barcodes on.
Yeah.
I need to get a barcode scanner though, don't I?
Yeah. No. Well, you can do it with your phone. It's a phone or a tablet thing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it'll scan it like it does a QR code.
I knew joining this group was going to be good for me.
Yeah. I'm trying.
Oh yeah, it's pretty.
My tablet is out of reach, or I would show you. Well, actually, you know what? I'll show you.
And he's gone.
And he's gone.
He's gone. I don't know.
Bye. Let's not let him back in. Put him out.
Got misdirection or something.
I think this is the episode where Roland had scanned himself into his iPad. Now he can't get out. He's like,
I know.
It's like when Jor-El put the people in the Phantom Zone, and they see their faces pressed against what looks like an iPad tablet.
Well, I'm sure he's trying to figure out how to get back in. There he is.
There it is.
So Tommy probably knows how to share his screen with this doggone thing, but I don't.
No, it's not.
He's going to hold it up.
You got a Windows machine? Is your machine, your computer, is it Windows? Because then you need another little app to make it so it goes through.
So,
there you go.
Yeah. So what you can do, right? You see here, it'll list them like what you've got, and it says how many you've got, like Factor X. You can see I've got 4 of those, right? Fantastic Four. I've got 233 of those, right? So if you click on it, it shows you all the coverage that you have.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Oh wow!
So I was going to show you the elementals.
I use the same program, but I just do all I track is my Spider-Man stuff. I don't do any of the rest of the stuff in it.
Yeah. Here's my elementals. Look at all those multiple covers.
Oh boy!
What the heck? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got 6 copies of Elementals number 4.
What a legacy for your children.
What the heck?
Well, that's my Nexus collection. I've done the same thing with Nexus. I've got so many different issues trying to get them all.
Yeah.
This is why I got this thing, though, because I'm like, I'm tired of buying these things all over again. I want to get the ones.
Well, see, you gotta save them and put them on your phone. So you bring your phone with you to shows, and then you set your phone on the thing. Well, you're not gonna walk around the floor with that.
I have the exact same thing on my phone.
Oh, okay, yeah.
This is just easier for me to work with.
So it syncs up.
Here, it syncs up on my phone.
Okay,
but I'm not gonna sit there trying to do this on my phone. Entering all those stupid.
I did. It's easy. It just scans.
Yeah. Well, they don't all scan. Have you seen independent comic books?
Yeah, you're doing all your stuff. I'm only doing Amazing Spider-Man, so it's a whole lot easier.
Hold on now, Amazing Spider-Man. They don't all have scans. If you got a direct market copy.
No, but it's all just. You're talking about going around trying to find stuff. I'm just in the Amazing Spider-Man section. I'm not going looking through everything else.
Right.
Yeah, so it's a whole lot easier for me. I'm not using it for all the rest of the junk.
Hyper says anarchy. Anarchy. A Mantron.
Yeah, we were talking about how when you disappeared, you went you got trapped in the iPad.
All right, I got nothing else. You guys have anything else?
No, I got nothing. This is a wide-ranging conversation today.
It was
very enjoyable.
All right, any shows coming up? Anybody?
There's the Orlando show coming up.
Tommy, you doing a show when you go back to Cali?
Yeah, we're doing the ShadowCon at the 1st, and then on the 14th, I'm in Pensacola doing the Pentagon show.
All right. That's me and you for ShadowCon and Jose Fuentes, but then you at Pensacon.
Yes, sir. I'll see everybody at both shows.
I'm not set up, but I'm going to be at WonderCon in Anaheim, which I believe is towards the end of March, so I'll be there.
All right, Mike, what about you? Shows?
I don't have anything in the near future.
All right,
I'm still booking it.
Gotta get to work on that.
I know.
Also for guys like Mike and where I am now currently, you got to wait for the warmer weather.
Yeah, it's fall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's chilly.
Tuesday, that Silverline show on Tuesday. New Year's resolutions: commit to making your comic. The gang discusses how you can realistically plan and commit to making a comic. And I will say, and maybe these guys right here will second me, that it has never been easier to make your comic than today.
Also, I will throw this out: stop planning before you start. Just start.
Just do
it. And then make your plan as you go along, because the more you get trapped in this cycle of, I've got to plan this out and I got to make a schedule and I got to do this, that's just distraction from the actual work. Sit down, make the comic.
Yes. This when you gotta take on the Nike slogan, right? Just do it.
Don't put conditions on it. Just
because I will tell you and maybe all of us have had this experience. The last thing we want at a convention is a guy talking about the comic book that they're going to make. It's like, stop it. Make the comic.
You know the other thing that happens sometimes? When someone comes up, so I had a student do this the other day, all right? But it reminded me of this happens at a convention. a student came up and started telling me about a show. He asked me, number one, asked me had I seen the show, and I said no, I had not. And then he started telling me in great detail about the show, and I'm like, I don't want to hear the whole plot of the show. I don't. Just stop.
Yeah.
But he starts telling me, oh, it's about, and I'm like, no. It's like, give me the 1-sentence summary of it. Cool, we're good.
Yeah.
But he started telling me this episode, and then I'm like, dude, that's way too much.
Yeah, it's oversharing.
On Wednesday, the Whammers are going to have a guest, Dan Scene. Dan Scene is the writer of Argos and Sorority of Power. He'll be meeting with the Whammers to talk about his new crowdfunding campaign. For those of you who don't know, also Dan is he is also a fairly regular supporter of Silverline comics.
Also, Dan Scene is like a great character name.
Yeah. I hope I'm saying it right. It's Sehen. So it could be so. Yeah. I think so too. Next week, are y'all ready for this one?
Yes.
AI is here. Get used to it.
Oh, we're going to be making some people upset.
AI, or artificial intelligence, is here to stay. So what are we going to do about it? How will it affect comic creators from top to bottom? Hear what the Silver Sunday crew have to say about it. That is next week.
Yeah, I don't know if that one's going to go very well.
I'm going to have my AI robot doll sit in for me.
That's going to be fun. Several comments here. Dave Rio says, I have still not seen a WonderCon Pro registration open up yet.
That's
Dave,
true. It has not.
Oh, it has not? Okay.
No.
I was going to say, I think I saw an email.
The thing about WonderCon is that it like San Diego Comic-Con is like a well-oiled machine, and WonderCon always seems to be like, oh, wait, there's a show coming up.
We also have
we better let people, we better sell some table space.
Max says, Silverline, come to Terrificon in Connecticut. I'm too lazy to fly to Florida.
Terrificon is a great show.
I would love to. I've heard really good things about it, and I've never been to Connecticut. It's one of the states I've never been to, Max. So tell the people up there to send us an invite. Me and Tommy would love to make that trip.
We'd do it.
Tommy, you'd drive up there with me, wouldn't you?
No, we'll fly.
Yeah, what are you guys, dumb? No one's gonna drive up there.
We can talk about it afterwards. And something else to talk about off the thing. Roland loves to drive.
Max says, "Let me tell you about my character from RPG conventions." Oh my gosh.
Okay, well, when we're at the show, you can bring your little portfolio, sit it on the table, and show.
A long car ride, you can tell me about your RPG character.
Yeah. Max says Dan does those Indie Monster Hall vids on YouTube. Yes, he does.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he's always, and he's often, I'm not gonna say always, but he often says really nice things about the Silverline books that he gets.
Excellent.
David says, I will see Tom there when I can get registered.
I run into David at almost every time I go.
Yep. David's good people. He's also super talented colorist.
Which is weird because you're just walking around the convention. There's like 40,000 people over, and suddenly there's like you turn a corner and there's 5 people that you know. That's what I love about conventions.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty cool. All right, guys. You know what time it is. Until next week, remember to
make mine
Silverline. Good night, everyone.
Hi, I'm Greg Horn. Make mine Silverline.